It's his dad from Ray and Dad, and today I'm visiting Butch Cassidy's childhood home. So having a bit of a solo adventure here to go check this out. So Butch Cassidy, of course, known as Robert Leroy Parker, was a famous outlaw in the Old West. They made a movie about him with Robert Redford, with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So this is the home where he grew up at here in central Utah, just north of the Bryce Canyon area. So let's go check out Butch Cassidy's childhood home. So here's some information about Butch Cassidy's childhood home here. So he lived here from the time he was 14 until he was 18. So he's here from about 1800 till about 1884. Because he was known as a serious outlaw. And he ran with a gentleman named the Sundance Kid, who they have pictured here, Harry Lawnbaugh. And here's George Parker, or Butch Cassidy. So he picked up the name Butch because he actually worked for a butcher, I believe it was in Wyoming area, where he worked for a butcher there, and they ended up calling him Butch for short. And Cassidy was the name of a farmer or rancher that he used to work with, and so he took the synonym Butch Cassidy. He got his start in theft in Telluride, Colorado, and then of course from there he developed a whole gang around him. What's interesting about Butch Cassidy's gang is that it was actually made up of both men and women, which was, as far as I can tell, pretty unique for that time period. And so he had a couple of accomplices who were women. One of them also ended up not too far from this area, a couple hours down the road, in a place called Silver Reef, Utah, where Ann Bassett, who is a well-known cattle rustler, ended up settling down. And eventually we'll end up doing an episode down there at Silver Reef and taking a look at that old ghost town, which is actually, I think, where Butch Cassidy's father ended up as well. And he would go there and visit, or rumor had it he would go there and visit. So let's keep taking a look around the property. When we used to drive here, we've been driving past here for years and years, and this just used to be a rundown, dilapidated area. But now the state parks here in Utah have refurbished all this, and you're actually able to go inside and take a look. So it's pretty cool. So let's go take a look inside Butch Cassidy's childhood home. Wow. So they have plexiglass around this, but this would have been Butch Cassidy's childhood home. And he was the oldest, I believe, of 13 children. So I can't imagine how that would have worked out in here. So they must have had some extra quarters. But here's an old bed. Not a very big space in here. They'd be kind of piled in and pretty full. Now I imagine that not all 13 kids lived here at the same time, and that was the case. Here's the classic picture of Butch Cassidy over there. It looks like that they must allow people to stand and pose with it during certain times of the year when they pull it out, but not a very big space in here. You can see me for scale. So you're looking at inside Butch Cassidy's childhood home here. Geez, I don't know, 8 feet tall or so up there, 9 feet tall. It's neat that they have some of the furnishings, the old wash basin, old rocking chair, a little table in here. And it looks like, oh, they had lofts up there. So I bet the lofts are probably where some of the family would have slept, the kids, and maybe the adults would have been down here with some kids as well. Pretty cool. So I'm gonna walk around the outside of the old homestead here and take a look. So it's not very big, and of course, you know, when people are homesteading out here, they make do with what they had. And actually having a house like this was probably pretty spectacular. To get an idea what it looked like when Butch Cassidy was growing up out here, you can see this nice little green field area. It feels kind of cool here. There's a river not too far away. There's actually a river against the base of the hills over there. I think that one's called the Sevier River, and that runs over there. But you can see all these hills and fields out here that he and his family could have planted or worked. Today they're alfalfa fields, and so somebody owns all this land, and they actually have some old machinery here along the sides, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute. Let's finish walking around the outside of Butch Cassidy's childhood home. So if you do stop here just outside Circleville, Utah, they do have picnic benches here. It's be a great place to have a picnic. So it's July, what are we at today? July 12th, say, 2020. It's quite beautiful here. It's probably in the upper 80s. It'd be a great place for a picnic. You can hear all the birds in the background here as well. So it's quite a nice stop. All right, so here's coming to one of the buildings, and they don't have these things labeled. I wonder if this is the outhouse or if this is the old, oh, this is probably the old barn for animals they have in here on this side. And then if I flip around, we can actually see the restoration of Butch Cassidy's home. Other yokes for their horses and other types of farming equipment that were out here. That's pretty neat. So if anybody knows more about this stuff than I do, please comment down below and let us know. This is a bunch of old farm equipment. I'm kind of taking a look and taking a guess what some of this stuff is, but this all has to do with, looks like alfalfa and hay for generating hay bales and for harvesting alfalfa. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting piece of equipment a gentleman just told me about who knew about this. This is actually a manure spreader, and so it used these conveyor belt. They would scoop up the manure off the front end of this, and then it would break it up and go out and fertilize their gardens and their fields. All right, everybody, so that's a look at Butch Cassidy's childhood home here in Circleville, Utah. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this, to give us a like, and hit the bell for notification once you do subscribe, so that way you can keep up on all our regular adventures. Thank you very much for joining us today here at Butch Cassidy's Childhood Home, and make sure to enjoy. Kind of following some of Butch Cassidy's childhood steps.